to a few details. The turn in the first measure and similar places is always a 4-note figure like this. Roughly speaking, this ornament fills up 1/8 note like this. 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3. However, we have some freedom with the timing. We can make it slower and more lyrical, or we can make it faster and more elegant. That's the one I like. It has a touch of elegance. We're saving the passion for later on. In the next measure, don't be afraid to use the open E. In orchestral playing, we wouldn't do that. But in solo playing, it's a different story. We just need to treat it with delicacy so it doesn't stick out. You could also, very subtly, use a little bit of portato. Or perhaps it's better to save that for later. In any case, you'll certainly want to use this portato bow stroke in this piece. And in fact, you could take the opportunity to refine your portato technique so that you can do it very subtly and smoothly. In measure 5, lighten up on the ornamental notes. In measure 5, lighten up on the ornamental notes. We have another turn here, but it's different this time because it has to fit into a 16th note. If we do it strictly in tempo, it sounds like this. Which turns into this. That's okay, but it's a little uncomfortable. It seems a little out of place, so I like to stretch it out a little. I start the turn right after the second beat. That way I can play it a little slower and more gracefully. It's more outgoing now. Keep practicing with the metronome in order to cultivate your feeling for bow speed and bow distribution. That's one of the great benefits of metronome practice. This whole section basically calls for 2 beats per bow, using the entire bow for the entire passage, gauging the bow speed so that you fill in the space evenly from the frog to the tip. You can start by practicing just the framework, like this. Just beautiful, pure bow strokes with the whole bow, evenly distributed. Now keeping the same bowing quality with all the notes. Now I'm going to pull back the tempo to 50. take a tiny breathing space here, just for an instant, in order to prepare the next passage. This passage needs to fit gracefully into the beat, with no rushing and no jerkiness. Keep it light and give the small phrases shape. This section obviously needs to be practiced slowly, preferably with the metronome. Find an initial practice tempo where you can play the whole passage without stumbling or otherwise messing it up. This is where so many students fall down, because their practice tempo isn't slow enough. How about half tempo? I'm going to leave the metronome on at 50, but now it's 50 to the 8th note. Does this seem absurdly slow to you? Have patience. Play it at this tempo until you can play it perfectly. No wrong notes, no stopping, no hesitation, every note in tune, no extraneous bow noise or shifting noise. You can also practice it without the slurs, all separate bows, like this. When it's reliable at this tempo, then you can start speeding up the metronome 3 or 4 notches at a time. It should take you 5 or 6 steps to get up to the real tempo. Probably you won't get there on the first day. It might take you a week or more, but you'll get there. And you'll play this passage with a level of quality and reliability that you probably never imagined. It all depends on finding that initial practice tempo and achieving quality in that tempo. In the next video segment, we'll look at some options for handling the passage work and the separate 16th notes on page 2. We'll discuss some practice techniques for the middle section. We'll also talk about what makes this music uniquely Beethoven and what that means for us as players. For the moment, please get out your metronome and make it your friend. Find out how very helpful the metronome can be for you.